SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Todd Berry, the Executive Director of the American Football Coaches Association, an hour from now. He was doing a lot of media today as the college football season wrapped up. Also, earlier today, we heard from Frank Beamer, former Virginia Tech great. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, joins us. Mack, we have had Ken Hatfield, R.C. Slocum, Phil Bennett. I've mentioned some of these names to you. Bob Stoll, who you know very well, and some of these others. And we had Frank Beamer today. And everybody to a man talks about, yet again, your offensive coordinator, Dave Aranda's offensive coordinator, and what kind of person and also kind of football coach he has in Jeff Grimes. Have you been continuing to get the same type of feedback?
We have, and we feel really blessed, and obviously feel really good about Coach Grimes joining the staff, and he's done it at a high level. He's been at some great places, brings some great experiences, and the common thread that binds together, right, that runs through all of the places he's been has been just consistent. Great person, great leader, really good with the staff, really good with student athletes, command, in charge, all of those things. So, we're excited about it. I think, we've probably talked about the numbers, this past season at BYU, including third in total offense. Right. And so we're excited, and I think our student athletes are, and I know they are. And I think the rest of the offensive staff is as well.
Mack, we were just discussing this. The college football season played to its entirety last night, and now you kind of have to deal with this, the weight of this extra year. I know why the decision was made to make this a free year at the beginning, but in retrospect, is that something that you could have done kind of like baseball and softball and the spring sports last year, where you say, okay, well, now you did it because you didn't get a season in if you hadn't?
Yeah, Paul, that's a really fair question, and obviously the driver for doing it with the spring was because the seasons were canceled, and I think just at the time, as you were beginning to plan about the upcoming years, and certainly the upcoming year, and trying to make decisions and make sure that student athletes had time to react. I think the decision had to have been made when it was, and of course there was so much uncertainty as to whether or not you're going to be able to finish the season. And so, we're now in a position, we've done it, and football student athletes, right, and same with volleyball, soccer, right, fall sports, and now winter sports get that extra year, and now we're going to have to be really good on how we manage that. And we've talked about it before, right? The 2021 season, I'm not saying it won't have challenges. It will have some financial challenges because just being over in terms of scholarship limits for all of those different sports. But it's the challenging piece is when we think about that following year, and we've got to get back down to the roster limits, right? And so, how do you do that, right? That balance of bringing new people into the program, right? That balance of maybe there's some people in the program that are going to have to go somewhere else, right? And then you have the transfer portal, and even though it was delayed, the new legislation, which I think is coming. So there's just going to be a lot of moving pieces and parts to it that we're going to have to navigate.
Mack, I know that the main 10 assistants are now all in place, but there's also changes in strength and conditioning, changes behind the scenes. Where is the football program kind of as far as like the dust settling and changes that are going on?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. We obviously announced Vic Valoria as our director of athletic performance for football, and excited about him. And, I won't go through, I know that you all have talked about it, I think, but his experiences at Florida State and then most recently LSU. And so good place there. You're allowed 5 full-time football strength and conditioning. And so Vic has made a decision, that includes himself. So he's made his decision on 3 others. So we're at 4, right? He's in the process of really deciding who that 5th person is. We're in the process right now of making, decision on our football chief of staff or director of football operation. That's something that still needs to be filled. And then a player personnel position. And so those 3, I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but I think once we complete those 3, we'll be in good shape, right? Timeline. We'd like to have it all done by the time our student athletes return to campus. But things are in good order. The staff that's here, they're off and running. They're together today in the offices working, and it's great to see them and be around them.
Mack, you did have to make almost an immediate U-turn on one of the coaching hires with Coach Pugh out of Troy. He was on the staff, and the next day he was gone. How difficult was that decision, and how disappointed were you that somehow ended up being his issue in having to leave that was not something you knew about?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough situation. Obviously, one that we wish didn't happen, and I think I mentioned before, we certainly felt like we did our due diligence, the background checks, the professional background checks, the different conversations, and I think it's well documented what all of a sudden got in front of us, right? And and to Coach Pugh's credit, he handled it up front, and but it became a situation for us where, hey, we felt like we needed to move on, and and we wish, like I said, we wish Coach Pugh the very, very best, and I think things happen for a reason, and I really think we're blessed and we're fortunate to end up with Coach Mateos as our offensive line coach. I know that Coach Aranda thinks the world of him. He certainly has great experiences. We just need him to get off his honeymoon so he can get back here and get to work. So, but no, happy for him and Jillian, and glad they're able to have a honeymoon.
With the thing about Coach Pugh again, because of what Baylor has been through, did that make your decision even more emphatic, or would it matter no matter had Baylor been through what you've seen and had said or written about you and all the other stuff the last 5 years?
Yeah, I don't think what happened with us in the past had anything to do with it. It just, I think it was more about, how we want to move forward, where our program's at. So I think it was more about that than anything in the past.
Mack, Mark Emmert today said that he didn't agree with all the things in the commission report about particularly, splitting off the FBS football and the NCAA and some of the reforms they suggested. Do you see a clear path forward for anything right now, or is it as confusing as it's ever been?
I think literally it is as uncertain. I'm not going to say confusing, but as uncertain as it's ever been. There's so many pieces to it. Obviously, everything that COVID has brought on. The commission report, right? And then the Alston case right now, and that now being heard by the Supreme Court, and hopefully some clarity by June, right? Where Judge Wilkins, ruled that there are no limits in terms of benefits tethered to educational expenses, and so where does that end up landing? The transfer piece when we think about football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, wrestling, obviously not relevant wrestling for us, but not having to sit out a year. right? And then the whole name, image, and likeness. There's just a lot of moving pieces right now, and so I think there's some uncertainty. I would like to think by the time we get to the summer, we have more clarity. I think there's real questions, candidly, about how the autonomous 5 moves forward, right? Do we continue as is, or is there a new model out there? But I don't know that you can focus on that without first getting over the hurdles that I've mentioned here just now.
Mack, with all this talk about, and you referenced it a couple of times in the past, the A5s and the kind of the potential split there. Granted rights are coming up here in a couple of years. Does that seem like it's right around the corner, this potential shuffling of the college football landscape? Is that on your radar amongst all of the other things, or is that something that, I don't know, kind of takes a backseat to legislation and name, image, likeness, and everything else?
Oh yeah, and that too. Yeah, no, I mean, it's in the back of your mind when you think about TV contracts when they expire, right? When we have to begin thinking about renegotiation, how does that line up with some of the other TV contracts? So it is really. I'm going to be careful with my words. It is really an interesting time for college athletics. And, I would love to have this conversation, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and to see, just how different it is. Because I do think it's going to be different. And I think that, we're going to have to be very, very thoughtful about how we navigate the pathway forward. There's a lot of things to consider. I still believe in the collegiate model. The best thing that we can do for our student athletes is not prepare them to go play professional at the next level. The best thing we can do for our student athletes is prepare them for life. That may include the opportunity to play at the next level. It may not. But that's what we need to be about. That's what we need to continue to remember, that it's about preparing these young women and young men for life. And I hope that we can continue to still be able to focus on that and understand and realize and never compromise. That's our role. That's our mission. That's our vision.
I kind of had a vision or just a memory in my head of the scene in My Cousin Vinny, where he's asking her, is there anything more we can pile on this trial to go on to make it more stressful? And do you kind of feel like that's the life of college athletics right now, where, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. You're swimming upstream and there's more things to get piled on every second? Yeah,
I guess you don't think about it. I guess you just do it, and that's kind of my mantra. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's those things in front of us, and we better face them head on, right? Not run from them, not look the other direction, but clearly face them head on and do our job and work through them each and every day. And I think the positive is that and maybe in a demented way, it's what excites me, but it's the idea of you never know what tomorrow brings. And I think I'm confident that certainly Baylor University, Baylor Athletics will navigate all of these complex, because I think they're complex, all of these complex issues moving forward. And I think we'll be a leader in doing that. And we'll make it through all of that. And by the way, not that I'm trying to throw in a negative, but we've got this NCAA investigation out there that we're going to have to deal with. And I have great peace, and I don't say that to make myself feel better. I don't say that to make the Baylor family feel better. but I have great peace. We're going to be okay. We're going to be better than okay. We're going to get through this, and Baylor Athletics is going to continue to be vibrant. We're going to continue to be a leader. Our brand's going to continue to grow. And, I said it 3 years ago, and I'll say it again today. Our best days are ahead of us, even given all of the stuff, right, that we're dealing with.
Mack, I know most people just want to know what the NCAA is going to do and all that, and I know you can't talk much about it, but when anybody, yourself included or whoever's had to go and face the NCAA, do they give you any type of an idea, like, hey, expect to hear from us in 6 months, or is it just completely wide open and you may be waiting 4 months, you might be waiting 4 years?
Yeah, I think that, if you followed other cases, right, and where, you've kind of followed when that institution has been in front of the committee and infractions, and then when they've been notified of sanctions or no sanctions, right, that feels like it's right around the 2 month timeline, right? And, plus or minus a couple weeks. I think, the thing that makes this maybe a little bit unique is certainly the holidays, right? COVID has impacted in terms of just, personnel, staffing. The NCAA has been public about, reducing their staff because of budget constraints, right? That we're all facing. And so how does that impact anything? So, I would hope certainly by late spring that we know, and that's probably where I'm focused on, if not a little bit sooner.
Mack, thank you very much. You got basketball. I know you've had some delays. The women, now Kim Mulkey. Have you talked to Kim? I'm sure you have, but everything seemed to be going as planned. They're about to get themselves back underway this weekend.
Yeah, I think, right now, today, we anticipate playing Iowa State and here at home, and our men, we anticipate playing at Lubbock on Saturday. And, again, interesting time, uncertainty, flexibility, right? If you saw my basketball schedules on my desk and you saw all of the cross-outs, pencil marks, highlights, that's just the season that we're going to have, and let's get through it, and then let's go compete for national championship.
I can't even imagine. It looks like one of my chemistry tests with red ink. How many has an F?
I think you should have one of those boards with yarn, like in American Gangster, where they're like following like where it all goes.
Yeah. Hard to follow, and I would just say that your chemistry test was probably more blank than anything else. So.
Do you think there's a chance in college basketball, like the Big 12, you have 18 games, that one team might play 12 and another one might play 17?
Oh, I don't know if those are the exact numbers, but I absolutely think there will be a disparity of games of the total amount of games that people play, very very similar to football, yeah. Right? And I think the argument or the hard thing to navigate, right? All of us in conversation that we're having. Well, what's the value of completing all of the games versus what's the value of winning all of them, most of them, right? And how does that balance? And so it's the Alabama that finished, and I don't remember the total number of games, but versus Ohio State that played the sixth before, I think it was, before going into the playoffs, right? And so are you better trying to play less and win all of them than trying to play all of them and maybe not win as many of them? And so that's kind of the conversation, the debate, and throw that into all of this as we continue to try to navigate it.
All right, Mack, thank you. Appreciate it. Paul, Craig, you guys done?
Yeah, I guess I have one more, Mack. Steve Sarkisian's being introduced to Texas right now. I know you had a history with Tom Herman, but how much do you take note of hires like that when, football coaches around the league are being hired or big moves are being made? I mean, I'm sure you have to pay some attention, but how closely do you pay attention to what the other Big 12 schools are doing with things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't. I mean, that's who we compete against, right? And we're brothers in the sense that we compete in the same league, part of the same conference, and so we have that brotherhood. But we also compete against them and want to beat them. And so I think that as a competitor, right, we're gonna keep an eye on what others are doing, but not at the expense of making sure what we're doing is really good. And so we'll continue to focus on what we do and trying to be the best that we can. And I think if we do that, then everything else takes care of itself.
Thank you very much, Mack. Appreciate it. That's Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Tuesdays at 4:20. Thanks to Jovan for her help in setting up the segment whenever we do. Earlier today when I sent a text, she was like, I can't find him. He's hiding. And, of course, in a kind of a fun-loving way, and then said he's available. And we appreciate it. Paula just sent us this on the text line, another home run interview with Mack. I don't know if any other AD that would be so frank and pragmatic with you all. He doesn't run or dance around the tough questions. We are so lucky to have him presiding over Baylor Athletics. And I say this, and that doesn't mean I know all the other 130, I guess you could say, Division I, as I continue to refer to them, as transparent as I've ever seen as an athletic director, and questions. And then he actually brings in the NCAA to an answer that we're asking about.
When that's done, whatever that is, I'm expecting just – like, I'm setting myself up for it to be, something that's bad, like as far as a punishment goes, not like death penalty or anything like that, but just I'm expecting, because look at the way Baylor's treated versus like even LSU, for example, right? I mean, just in the talking of the different things that went on. So, you can never really guess with the NCAA. Like, I'm going to reserve myself to thinking it'll probably not be great, and that way maybe if it's not, then it's one of those things you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. So I'm sort of setting myself up, but I mean, I do feel much more confident regardless of what it is with Mack Rhoades in charge that it'll be okay. And man, it'll be a big relief, whatever it is. It'll be a giant relief. It's been literally hanging on the backs of Baylor for 4 years now, and the fan base and everybody else. So that'll just be great whenever the day comes.
When we come back, Nicole Auerbach, who was just named the National Sports Writer of the Year, she writes